Hey, Catherine.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, doing great. You look pretty with your little decorative shirt and your, I love that.
Christmassy. So my daughter Jasmine got this for me years ago. It's an adjustable
Oh,
necklace, and so I wear it around Christmas time every
yeah.
year.
Wow, it's beautiful.
Thank
Mhm.
I'm excited that you're mentoring us today.
Well, thank you. I am too. Yeah.
Let me send a quick note to everybody
Okay.
real quick here.
Mhm.
Let's see. Let me grab the invitation link.
Mhm.
Woo, look at Angie. Oh my Lord, movie star in the house.
Why are you saying that? What's going on?
Cause you're looking all super spectacular.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel good because I didn't do
Well, gosh, I wish I woke up and looked like that every morning.
Sure.
Okay. Oops. Copy the invitation. All righty. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
We have a treat this morning because Catherine is going to mentor us today. And I just have to say, oh, I got to see Nkeshi's face. Got to see Nkeshi's face for just a moment. It was awesome. Just there you are.
I'm drinking, man. I'm trying not to have a wreck.
It's
Hi,
all
everybody.
hi. All right. Hey, listen, before Catherine gets started, I do want to just get really practical here for a moment. We are on day 35, and it's actually day 37 that we start to make a transition in Sustain Your Wins. And so, what that means is just kind of some simple things that now, when you hit day 37, you can start to have peanuts, peanut butter. You can have any kind of beans if you want. You can have all veggies except for corn. So, just an FYI on that. We are coming into the we're we're moving along in the journey. We're coming along. So we're on the top side of our 60-day cycle. So just want to encourage you that way. And Catherine, you are welcome to take it away.
All right, thank you. Well, good morning, ladies. I know we checked in yesterday, so and we can do that again today at the end if you'd like. But I feel like I do have some good information today, so we'll just jump right into it if that's okay. Um, and again, I am taking this from another one of Angie Nettles' books, Angie, Compose Your Soul. I don't know if you can see that with my little blur thing, but anyway, it's Compose Your Soul, How to Turn Your Daily Chaos into Calm Control. So I'm finding so much use for all of this, Angie. Thank you for writing a good book. Because I really have everything that I'm learning, I really apply it to the Fit and Focus as well. So I was just kind of reading through this book, and this really stood out to me because I know we do talk about the power of choice, that we live in choice. And I chose to talk about that today because I know that is something, that Angie has talked about during my journey in Fit and Focus. And that is something that has really stayed with me. And I really try hard to keep that in the forefront of my mind. Not only in food, but I've been able to use it in other aspects of life, but specifically with food, I'm getting a lot better about remembering I have a choice right now, whatever it is I'm doing. So I just want to read a little bit, some things that stood out to me about the power of choice. And I think it would lead us into a good discussion, maybe what everybody might think of that, how it shows up in your life, in your choices. It says here that it says there is power in choice, and you have to allow yourself to exercise this power. So if we know that there is power in choice, and it says we have to allow ourselves to exercise the power, that power, again, that word exercise is an action word, right? So we have to move, we have to start with knowing something, becoming more aware of it, and then move into the action of it. So that's where we want to remain, is the action of it, by, and staying aware. So again, there is power in choice, and you have to allow yourself to exercise this power, even when others resist your way of thinking, right? So here we are, we're taking on a new mindset. We're trying to change our eating habits. We're trying to become healthier. And even though the people around us may not always appreciate that, they may not understand that, right? So even when others resist our new way of thinking, recognizing that we have choices gives us more power. And if you don't like the word power, because I was kind of thinking about that word power. If you don't want to think about it as power, I thought we could insert, recognizing that we have choices gives us more confidence. Recognizing that we have choices gives us more discipline. Recognizing that we have more, or that we have choices, maybe gets us into what we talked about yesterday in terms of the reframing. So maybe that gives us more flow, more flexibility, more freedom, all of those things. We can insert anything in there, but knowing that we have choices and exercising them helps us to be able to develop all the things that we talk about, the discipline, the confidence, that kind of thing. So just remembering how powerful choice is. And it says, oh, this is a really good one. I highlighted this. So, so tune into this one. It says, making choices helps shift your perceptions, and shifting your perceptions will help you make different choices. So you see, perceptions, mindset, all these things that we're talking about, or that Angie talks about, that's powerful. That the choice, knowing that we have choices and using them and exercising them is powerful. So I'm going to say that one more time. I felt like it's really good. Making choices helps shift your perceptions. So our perceptions of what? Food, how we're going to feel when we eat a certain thing, or, just whatever perception. And shifting your perceptions will help you make different choices. So by shifting your perception, it's going to help you make better choices going forward, taking one day at a time, one meal at a time, one craving at a time. I mean, whatever that might be that you're facing. Because the other thing about choices is that we have to meet ourselves where we are, right? That's where the success comes. Whatever we're feeling in that moment or that day, whether it's, whatever of the four pillars that we're dealing with, the mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, we're met with those, those pillars. We walk in them every day. So, right, we have to, whatever is happening with us, we have to recognize that. What's happening right now? What choice can I make in this moment? Am I emotional right now? Am I stressed out right now that I want to just go eat? And, for me, it would be chips, salty and crunchy. Do I want to go eat a bag of chips? No, because I have a choice right now. Okay. If I'm feeling very sad or, well, that's emotional. Sorry. If, my body is aching, and I just don't care, just give me something to make me feel better. you know, again, choice applies no matter what we're dealing with in that moment, in that day, in that season, in that week. I mean, it doesn't matter. It's all boils down to the choice we make in that moment. And here's another thing that Angie says in her book. It says, you will be better served by shifting from seeing obstacles to looking within yourself for opportunities to learn, right? So we can see, so I'm going to say that again. It's just so good. You will be better served by shifting from seeing obstacles to looking within yourself for opportunities to learn. Showing up here every day to these calls, listening to the replays, really plugging into the work that we're doing in Fit and Focused, as deep as we're starting to go, kind of in pre-existing conditions, you know, all of these things that we're talking about. If we use all of this information as opportunities to learn about what we're dealing with us as an individual and how we fight against food choices, we will stop seeing them as obstacles, because we are learning tools to make different choices. So I'm just going to let that resonate a minute. So I know for me, like I said, it has taken practice to keep this in my, you know, in the forefront of my mind, to say, oh, that's right, I live in choice. I'm feeling yucky right now. I just want to eat a cookie. You know, I'm not saying I'm always successful in making a good choice, but I'm aware that I am making a choice. So even if I make the choice to eat the cookie, then I accept the consequences. Or I say, no, I'm not going to. But again, it's all about the choices and the power of those choices. So that's really, I don't want to clutter too much about that, because just those main points were so good to me, and they stood out, and they speak volumes of what we do in this program and how we're trying to change our mindsets and exercise the choices. So I just kind of want to leave it right there. Does anybody have any thoughts? Let's open it up. Maybe we can, is it bringing anything to your mind, that you might want to share, or something you're struggling with about choices?
Sometimes when we have too many choices, it just makes it difficult to choose the right path, right? Like I'm thinking about, day 38, when we get opened up to a lot of choices, then sometimes we go too far to the left. So I think that's something that we need to be mindful of when we transition, to make choices, but keep our choices still kind of simple, or not do it all in one day. You know what I mean? Because then, I know I have a choice. And then I start going past where I should go. I lose my discipline, that's for me. So this was very, very good reminder that, yes, we have a choice, but we got to make sure it's still the best choice for us.
Yeah. That, I love that you're saying that, Irma. And what makes me think, or what comes to my mind when you're saying that, because you're absolutely right. I agree with that. And I think through the journey of this, when we do, you're right, get to that point where we can eat a little more, or on our carb day or something, I have made choices where, yeah, I'm like, ooh, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. But guess what happens? Through the course of our journey, our bodies even start to change. So even though my mind is saying, yes, I have a choice, I can eat whatever I want right now, my body is saying, no, no, no. It tells me. So I love that that we can stay, we can remain in choice. We can think about these things, cognitively, but our bodies also start to change. And that's what then even drives our choices at some point in our journey. That we don't
Yes.
like that we started swelling because we ate pork. We don't like that we're bloated because I ate too much bread, or, you know what I mean? So you make a
Yes.
real point. You do. I love that.
I think that like Irma said, not trying to do it all in one day. And when I think of that, I think, just what is the next step? Just don't think about the whole thing. What is my next step today? Or what is my next step this hour during this meal? Keeping it simple.
This is a good reminder that speaking of choices, we always live in choice.
Mhm.
A lot of times we call the victim card, right? Like, well, I just had to eat that because it was there and it was the only thing left. We'll put ourselves in victim, but we make the choice. And so we really have to quit throwing out that victim card and thinking that we're a victim to food, because we're the ones that decide. Even in the most difficult circumstances, we make a choice. If you think about it, and this applies to every area of life. If you're working in a job and you're there and you're miserable and it's like the worst job ever, and you're saying, I can't leave that job because I need the money. Well, actually, you could. You have a choice. You could leave that job, right? And it's the same thing with what we're doing with our food. We're making a choice on what we're going to eat. And then to tack on to that, this just summarizes a little bit what you were saying, Catherine. For every single action we take, there is a reaction. Every single action has a reward or a consequence to it. There's a reaction. And we have to think about that. So if we're going to eat something sweet, for example, are we prepared for the consequence of that? We know that sugar ages you rapidly. When you are consuming sugar, and you can even see it, like if you just pig out on sweets or cookies or whatever, I guarantee that next day you'll see it on your face. You'll see the consequence of that on your face. And I've noticed that, whenever I've gone off plan and I've done something, the next day it's like, wow, I can really see the impact of that. It has an impact. And so we have to be questioning ourselves, is this what I really want? Is this what I really want for myself? And yeah, you can rationalize and say, I'm just going to do it today and then I'll get back on track. That's a mindset that's there that we tend to default to, like, I'm just going to do it tonight and then tomorrow I'll just get back on track and fix it all. But the truth is that when you do it a little bit, like, well, maybe maybe it wasn't that big of an impact. And so then we just start increasing that, and we start falling into that temptation more often, and that gets us just dug right into a pit. So just throwing that out there for some things to think about. Angie.
And just for the sake of full disclosure and accountability, it's, Catherine, you have said this many, many times, is when we talk every morning about things like this and you realize how everything is so interconnected, like everything, all of these aspects are so interconnected. Because I will tell you, my whole thing with the water, we talk choice, right? What do? I have a planner that I have written it down for this week. It was my daily habit, 64 ounces of water. What have I chosen? What did I choose yesterday? To walk through my kitchen how many times and choose not to drink the water. Literally thought I need to go drink water, but chose not to. And because why? Well, does it have to do with some kind of control? Potentially, that everything else in my life that I can't control, well, I can control, doggone it. I can choose and I can control whether or not I'm going to drink that water. The stupidity of this, ladies, but this is what I'm doing. Truly, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, and what you're saying, Angie, is, so this is kind of like a head conversation too. So if you knew that your life depended on you drinking the water, it'd probably be a different story, right? Like, I mean, if you knew that you were going to die if you didn't drink, I mean, that would be a whole nother ball game for you. But you're right. I mean, it's about a control thing. And so that's why when we're working on managing what we eat, we got to really dig deep into managing relationships, because relationships are at the heart of a lot of our challenges. It usually has to do with other people. I'll give you a case in point. So I have a hubby boy, sometimes he can be stubborn and he can be a jerk face, right? And so I get annoyed with him. And when I'm coming home in the afternoon, that is not my best time. Between the hours of 4 and 6:30, I have to really watch myself, because I want to verbally throat punch him sometimes when I walk in the door, because he's dealing with the stress of his day. It's not how I deal with my stress, but he's like this, and I just want to, hey, just quiet, just be quiet. That's what I want to say, right? But what I'm having to work on is how to manage my emotions in that situation. You know why? Because if I can learn to master that situation, that means I will not have a trigger that makes me want to go in there and eat every snack food that is in the cabinet, right? Walking on this journey of Fit and Focus means that we have to start working on our relationships and how we react to people and how our emotions are managed. It's taken me a long time to actually get to the place that I am. And particularly this year, I've made a lot of progress in the way that I respond to things. And it's a beautiful thing. And so when we're talking about Fit and Focus, we're not just talking about managing the relationship with food. This is a life thing. This is a managing your communication, managing your mindset. It's managing all of those things, because those are the tipping points for us, usually. Does anybody resonate with that? Yeah, we even talked about this Saturday. There were 3 of us on talking about,
Yes.
yes. If you
Yes and
Saturday
yes.
call, go back in the Facebook group and watch that. It was kind of a funny but a productive conversation. So Nkechi, you posted this a little bit ago here, but every choice has a consequence that we cannot choose. A wise person once told me. Gotcha. What else? What's coming up for you? We've heard from Angie. We've heard from Pam. Irma's amening.
Good morning.
Morning.
I was thinking about this in relation to kind of planning ahead. So I think there's choice in the moment, but I also think to the degree we can know ahead of time, okay, like I went to book club last night and there was a whole section of the kitchen just full of all different kinds of food. And there is every single month when I go to book club. So this is not new information, it's not a surprise. And so part of the planning that I could have done is to go, there's going to be all this different food. I have the whole drive and the whole day ahead of time to think about what am I going to do and not do in that moment instead of just turning off my brain, focusing on talking to people and just sort of putting stuff on my plate. And even if I put it on my plate, there's still another chance to go, do I have to put this in my mouth? No. And does anybody care? No. And so planning ahead is another place for choice. And then it's less of a negotiation in the moment to have to go, what am I going to do? Because it's already decided.
Yeah. Yeah, planning. We talk about that all the time. We beat that thing to a dead horse, right? But sometimes there's this rebel that pops up in us, and I know this rebel in myself, but oh, that's no fun.
Right.
You're a party pooper. There's like
Yeah.
our executive committee, who we've got the different committee members who are talking, and there's one that's the party pooper and the queen of responsibility. And then there's the other one that's like, oh, let's just just let it go. We have these committee members talking to each other, and yeah, but I totally relate to what you're saying. And it all comes back to what Catherine's saying. It's a choice that we make, and we get to live with the consequences. And I think sometimes we make choices because we feel like the consequences aren't really going to be that bad. Like, yeah, I can overcome this. I can, I'll get over this. I'll make up for it. It'll be worth it. Then you wake up the next day and all of your joints are swollen and you're walking around like 100-year-old woman because you partook in that, right? Or like if you have wine, and for me, whenever I do drink wine, my sinuses go crazy because of environmental allergies. And so my nose will get stopped up, my eyes will be watering, my face swells up. It's just kind of it's almost like I have an allergic reaction to it. And then it's like the next day I'm like, that was the dumbest thing ever. Why did I do that? Now I feel like crap. And I mean, so it's just this cycle, and it just has to stop. So there needs to be an intervention before that. And sometimes we are our own interrupters. And that means, okay, I got to remove the snacks from the house. I've got to remove the wine from the house. I've got to remove this from the house. I'm doing it for my own good. So sometimes we just have to intervene for ourselves because everybody else they're not on our plan. I don't know about you, but I've got snackers in my house. And I can clean it out, and next thing I know, so my husband grew up poor, and so he feels like we have to have 5 million snacks in our little tiny pantry that we have in our downsized house. And he just it's like he shoves them in, and holds them and shuts the door. Right. So yeah. He came in, he went to Sam's and bought, so the family's coming in. He bought all these bottles of wine. I said, don't even put them up here in the kitchen. Take them down in the basement, put them somewhere away. I don't want to see those. I don't want to see that. So we got to take a stand. So Nkeshi says it's Snack City in my home, and they are not from me. I throw them in a bag, putting them out of my sight. Yep.
I can relate to that too, Angie. My husband is he should not eat sugar and he does anyway, but so he's I never buy when I go grocery shopping, I don't buy those kinds of things, whether he wants them or not. You know what I mean? I just because I know he shouldn't have them. So, but he'll make a special trip to the store just to get some sweets or something for him for himself, and he comes back in with bags, and I say, "What?" I mean, I don't say anything anymore because why bother? You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I say,
mean, they live in choice too, right?
exactly right. And and he's told me before, I'm a grown man, I can do whatever I want. And I say, okay, go right ahead. But no, I mean, but it breaks my heart though, honestly,
Yeah.
to see that. And I wish he would really listen to me. So I do pray about that for him. I say, Lord,
Yeah.
please let him, choose better, but yeah, it's all around me. But I just know different, my body doesn't want that. So
Yeah.
it's tempting at times for sure. But
And we're always going to be surrounded by temptation. And sometimes we just have to do some really hard interventions. Like, to me, a hard intervention is looking at that gelatinous hot dog concoction that's on. I mean, that to me, so if I'm having a craving, I've been looking at that picture and I'm like, that's enough for me. Sometimes it's just something very, very literal and tangible, like putting a candle in that has more of a perfumey kind of smell versus like the caramel swirl cinnamon candles, right? I mean, our senses they are mesmerized by the things in our environment. And so sense of smell is a very, very powerful tool, especially when the enemy's trying to tempt us, right? He will use the way that we smell things. Like cinnamon rolls, when they come out of the oven, that's like, you smell those and you want to abandon ship and say, I don't care. I'm just going to put myself on the cross right now and eat these cinnamon rolls, right? But just purposely at least trying something. So maybe it is getting a candle that just satisfies your senses, or taking your husband's snacks and putting them in a different place so that you're not walking into the cabinet seeing them. Maybe you create his special little cabinet somewhere, or you get an end table that actually has a drawer inside that he can put his snacks where he's sitting. Just doing something purposefully and intentionally to make it easier for you.
And Angie, I'm remembering too, there's another thing that that has helped me make better choices. And I remember kind of shifting into those better choices. And that's, when the brain fog that I had started clearing, because before I even started this journey and I ate so many carbs, which do not agree with me. And I did not make choices because I was mindlessly eating, right? I'm just grabbing stuff. I'm not even thinking about it. I'm just grabbing stuff, trying to satisfy, my urge or whatever, my palate was saying I needed salt or crunchy or whatever.
Right.
Never even I never even thought of choice. I just whatever. And so as that brain fog cleared for me, and my body started, getting in alignment with my better choices, then that's when I could continue making better choices. I have clarity now. I'm going, oh, that's right. I'm not eating that. That doesn't even make any sense, So for me, it's that I remember when that shift started occurring and I was like, wow, this is so much better.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reward to feel better and more clear. I like it. I need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you have a few things to think about. No particular assignment here, or no particular homework, other than to just process what was said today and what it means to you. And we will be back on tomorrow morning to continue the conversation. We're not going to have you check in today. You're gonna get a break from that. Just know that also tomorrow, so we will want to weigh ourselves and compare that to how we started out, what we weighed right at the beginning of our journey. So just as a check-in, just know that that's coming up tomorrow, okay? All right, everybody. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye. Pam, what time are you coming by? You're on mute.
I am shooting for 1:30.
Okay.
Because Pete has an appointment at 3. So,
I've got
and
let me check my calendar real quick because I've got a call from I'm going to be in a call.
okay, want me to make it? The latest I can make it would be 2.
Okay,
Or-
yeah, I have a window of time between 2 and 2:30.
Okay,
I'm on
Okay.
coaching calls the rest of the time.
okay, that works.
Okay.
And each basket is 150.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. And you've got how many baskets?
14.
Okay. All righty.
Okay,
You want Venmo or can you do Zelle or Venmo or how do you want this?
was really good.
What?
Zell,
Zelle? Okay.
yeah,
All right. We'll get that taken care of when you get here.
sure. Okay,
Okay.
thanks.
All right.
Bye-bye.